And good morning. How's your day as we start Thursday? Exactly 1 week from today will be Thanksgiving. Can you believe that? This year has flown. I welcome each and every one of you to the show today as we'll learn a few things that's going on across the United States, and we'll get into a lot of things that are happening here across the great state of Mississippi and Alabama here in just a little bit at the beginning and top of the hour. Odie will be off this morning. Greg has been so kind as to come back again today. He'll join us here in just a little while, beginning at 7. Right now we're starting out today, if I'm not mistaken, at around 57. Now, the temperatures will only get to about 70. Oh, wait a minute, that's warm, isn't it? A little warmer today. We will still have that gust of about 20 miles an hour today, gusting up to that. The burn ban for Lauderdale and Clark gone. That is over as it comes to an end, and others will be ending fairly soon, some of the 26th, and then most of the state will be ending by the 4th and 6th of December. There's a couple that are still lingering on, but hopefully we'll get enough rain to where all of that will fade away. We've had a lot happen over the last 24 hours. A lot of prayers have been going out to family members who have lost loved ones. We'll get into all that at 7 as well. How's everybody feeling there? Good morning to Sandra. Good to see you. Susan, Chunky, joining us there. Oh, Dot, how are you doing? Richard Nelson's up at it with us today. Miss Becky. Clarkdale, Matt Green joining us there. House Community. Anitra, how are you today? Alan Carlisle, watching from Dalewood. So good to see so many of you. We're going to go to Collinsville now, to the First Baptist, and get our message of the day. Maybe it'll help us. Let's certainly hope so. Let's do that, and we'll be right back with your local news and things that are going on.
As we read through the book of Acts and the writings of Paul, we are blessed to see how Paul went from being the great persecutor of the church to someone who had a deep love for local churches and did all he could to strengthen them and help them grow. One of the examples of this is how he would see the desperate financial needs of a group of God's people and lead other churches in giving to help meet those needs. In Romans 15, 22 through 29, we see this play out. Paul says in 25 and 26, "Now, however, I am on my way to Jerusalem in the service of the saints there. For Macedonia and Achaia were pleased to make a contribution for the poor among the saints in Jerusalem." He goes on to say in verse 27 that these churches who gave to this need were pleased to do it. Another sign of a healthy church is when you see a church come together when they see a need and gladly give of their resources to meet that need. We're moving towards a time of the year when the needs of families and individuals in our churches and communities will be greater than any other time of the year. May our churches set the tone and lead the way in helping to meet these needs by gladly giving to and serving others. This is a demonstration of God's love and an act of obedience and how He has called us to love others. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, Mowdy Cabinetry, and Parker Marketing Insurance Advisors. And welcome back as we travel along. 6:34 as you're waking up, depending upon what time zone you're in. We're central here. Sheila, good morning there. Sometimes, now I know without a shadow of doubt as I look at things, sometimes my view may be here and there. Most things to me are black and white. It's this or that. I sometimes look at things, and I'm sure that NASA, I'm not the person to work at NASA, I couldn't solve those problems, but others, I scratch my head and wonder why people don't see it. As I look at headlines today, and I see this, there's always somebody with a cause wanting to influence things and make it their way. I see we're a political group in 2022. They poured $196 million into trying to get political views to go their way. Imagine if we were to take that kind of money and put it into those who really needed it. Well, they're always complaining of this group hadn't got that, but put the money where your mouth is. Put it to good use of people that need it. Actual things in communities. You'd be amazed what we could get done. Does anybody realize what is spent on elections nationwide? It would scare you. If you were to put all of that, I think we could change the world in just that. That's my 2 cents on that. I know this name, and you'll have to help me because she's not I don't listen to her, but I do know that somewhere out there in the world of music, she's big. A lady named Pink, P-I-N-K. Anybody familiar with her? She went to Florida. She's been out of shape, apparently. At her concert, she gave away 2,000 books that had been banned by the state of Florida. And you go, okay, well, that's not good to ban books. But as I get into this would be those books that are deemed not good for kids at schools and things of that nature. They deal with sexuality, identity, and things of that nature. But she gave them away at her concert. I haven't read the books. I don't know what they are. Has all the earmarkings to make my radar go up. But apparently she's trying to make a statement. Maybe she did. That was Pink, whoever she is. I'm sure some of you know her. Las Vegas, maybe you've seen this story. We hadn't spent a lot of time on it this week. It was a 17-year-old kid that saw another child that was younger being picked on by a large group. He steps in to stop it. He was beaten to death by 8 teens. Las Vegas is where this all happened. Beaten to death by 8 other teenagers. They'll be charged, but he stepped up and done the right thing. That goes back to what's being taught in our households. What happens at home? Somebody's got to take responsibility. It's not always someone else's fault. But Las Vegas is where that went on. I'm not sure if you've heard that yet or not. I know it's been out a day or two. But as we get deeper into that, 36 years later, as we get into this story, and this happened in Georgia. A 5-year-old was buried in concrete. They didn't know who did it. It took 36 years before they figured it out. The mother and a boyfriend has been arrested now. Some 36 years later, all that happened in Georgia. Some of the cold case files that are being broken, finally, with DNA testing and things of that nature. Horrible. And I don't know the details of how he was put into the concrete. I don't know all of that. I'd have to go back and read deeper into that. But that saddens my heart to no degree there. Whew. Man's best friend. Now, this story is getting to be a week to 2 weeks old as I look at this. It breaks your heart. We had a hiker that went into Colorado. Have y'all heard about this? He passed away, most likely of natural causes. His furry friend, his companion, was there with him for months, waiting by his side. I know there's been a lot of questions of how did the dog survive? What did he? I don't know all of that. But he stayed with him. He'd been there for, I think, a couple of months. Pup was still with him when he was discovered. Those pups love you to the end. They never leave your side. And if you don't have one, you don't know what we're talking about, talk to Roadside Rescue here in Lauderdale County or the animal shelter. There's so many places that, well, they just want to be loved. Take them in and make your life complete, especially if you need companionship. You want somebody to talk to that doesn't talk back to you? Get you a pup. They're wonderful. Or a kitty cat, whatever the case is. We see that the Northeast area is going to be, well, getting some storms come next week as we get ready for Thanksgiving. It's going to be the Northeast as we get up into the Northeast corner of the country. So be ready for that as we look at that. Family members. There's nothing like a good family fight, is it? Especially when it comes to money. 40 acres as we look at Alabama. It's an 84-year-old that is going to be forced to move out of her home. You go, well, that's just awful. Well, we get into digging about what this is. Well, it's several family members that happen to own the land. It's worth about $20 million. It's going to be developed. The rest of the family says, you got to go. I don't know how you feel about that. Auburn, Alabama is where that's all going on. $20 million for 40 acres of land. Wow, I bet we all wish we had a piece of that. And you're right, Millie, a house is not a home without a pup. I agree with that 100%. We'll look at your temps here in just a little bit as we look at Mississippi. We are going to be different come Thanksgiving. Not Burr, but I think we got some chilly nights on the way there. Is Biden signaling who he'd like to take over if he doesn't work? Have they told him what to say? It's scary, the name that he said, that he complimented him so much during this latest APEC meeting. He's talking about the governor of California, Newsom. He's been bragging on him. Is that a signal for something more to come? We don't know, but that is what's going on there. Do you remember, and I've brought this up several times, do you remember the substitute teacher, this happened in Florida, that took a cell phone away from some student and she was brutally beaten in the hall? Do y'all remember that? The trial is about to go on, and she talks about this. She was a little bitty lady. She was attacked by a 6 foot, 270-pound teenager. The school has laid her off, and she said she simply, as trial awaits, been living off what people have been giving her, donations. I think she's still hurt pretty bad, if the best I can tell by this. She was hurt bad as we look at this. I'm not sure why she's unpaid. It may be that's just the way of the ranking of her job of how that happens. They're looking for her attorneys. They're looking for a 30-year lockup on the one who did it. We'll see what becomes of it. That's in Florida where all of this is starting to develop. It's rough. Go back and watch the video to that. We've got your forecast next as we begin this day. We'll look at those temperatures next week. Now, Terry, I didn't know that. You're saying Newsom is Pelosi's nephew? I honestly didn't know that, if that is the case. Wow. Good morning from the sheet. Miss Emily, how are you doing? I always thank you every time I hear John Connolly's song, Straight Miss Emily's Picture. Good morning to y'all. We'll be right back as we get ready for this. We'll give you your forecast and so much more in just a moment as we start today together.
At the Back Porch, we're bringing families back together for fun, food, and all the things you love to enjoy around your home. Every event starts with a great grill, great cookware, and accessories. Add in some locally sourced meat and dairy, along with frozen vegetables and casseroles, and over 500 brands of spices and sauces. Relax in our chairs, swings, day beds, and have fun with our cornhole boards. From coolers to trailers, we have everything you need. When you see the big chair, you've made it to the Back Porch.
Sanders Gas, Sanders Air and Heat is your full-service propane supplier since 1946. We take pride in ensuring reliable, friendly service to our customers. We also provide safety tune-ups related to propane, air conditioning, and heating systems, keeping our community efficient and safe. I'm Chuck Sanders, and yes, we're local.
Welcome back. Those gas logs are wonderful there. As a matter of fact, when it gets cold. Nothing like backing up to a heater, is it? Roy said his dog thinks the dog thinks it's his house, and he just happens to live with the dog. I think there's a lot of them like that. I've got one of each that goes from one extreme to the next. I've got one named Sophie, which is a bigger dog, that when it's bedtime, she comes up, you pet her goodnight, and she don't ever want to be touched again until morning light. She believes in sleep, leave me alone. While I have the other one, often at 2 a.m., an hour before I get up every day, will come in, and if your hand is laying on the bed, she wants it petting her, and she will take her nose until she gets her nose inside your hand and on top of her head so she can rub it around. Nothing like them. Each one has a different personality. It's just like kids. They jealous. Oh, my goodness. Y'all know what I mean by that. Let's get into your forecast now and see how this is going to work out. We'll take a look at radar and several things this morning.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Our record highs, our record lows. It was 1958. We set that high of 84, a warm day. Today, 70 for the high is what we'll get, about 14 degrees cooler. 1940, brr. It was 18 on this day in 1940. That was a cold day, I grant you. As we look across what's happening today, here we are, 68 to 70 in Meridian. As we go northward through Philadelphia, about 67. We'll even get to 69 there. And Columbus, as we go west, and again, this is minute chances of rain, by the way. Very, very minute. We get over to the Mississippi Delta, we get 71 in Greenwood, and we follow it down to Natchez, and about 68. As we look to the east, 71 is what we'll get in Tuscaloosa, maybe 69 in Birmingham as that comes across in those areas. Now, the 10-day outlook has us a little bit cooler than what we've been as we look at this cool front from even across from West Texas, across the whole state of Texas into Mississippi, Alabama, and the deep south, cooler weather. Kind of like the sound of that. Let's look at what these temperatures bring over the next 10 days, 14 days. As we see today is 69 to 70. Tomorrow we'll end the week with warmer weather, 71 there. A little bit of fog possibly in the morning. As we get into the weekend, it will be sunshiny Saturday and Sunday. But look at this, as we'll get into the 30s on Saturday night, then back to 46 on Sunday night, but averaging out in the mid-60s there through Monday. We'll start to see it cool off as we get near Thanksgiving. Look at this, 60 on Tuesday, down to 56 on Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. Now, as we get to Thanksgiving, the high only at 57, but sunny. No chances of rain there. As we go past that, we'll start to see the temperatures dip into the 50s for the highs as we end out November on the 29th and 30th and make our way toward Christmas. Look at that. Changing, isn't it? Sure is. Now, let's go back and take a look at radar while we're here and see what it has to offer of what's going on in the big wide world of weather. So we can see what's going on across the United States as we pull this up. We do have a few scattered showers this morning, if you'll look at this. This is eastern Lauderdale County. Again, these are just tiny, tiny cells of showers there out by Toomsuba. A little bit in between Marion and Highway 19. Not much to it there, but just a smidgen as we go northward there around Scuba, around 2 Mile Bottom up here as we get north of there and we get into Presley Bottom near the Noxubee County line. A little bit of a shower there. And then we've got a little bit out near Giles, out by Dozer Road in those areas, over by Kemper Lake and more around Kosciuszko and Carthage this morning. And Columbus Air Force Base has a smidgen of rain. Nothing serious there. So we back out to take a look here of what we do have and pull this out where you can see the entire U.S. of A. A lot of fog out in Denton, Texas. We have a little bit there as we look at Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Northeast, not much going on up there today. Nothing horrible. We do have a bunch of showers off the coast of Florida this morning. That's the way the radar looks. Let's see what else we've got going on this morning. As we look at our fishing forecast as we go to Chet's Paint and Body, here's what we've got. It's going to be an east-southeast wind 5 to 10 today, but gusty if you're going to be fishing with those lures. As we get into your major time to fish is going to be this afternoon around 2 o'clock. Let's call it 2 to 4 is the best time to be on the creek bank fishing. Good luck to you on that. Now, as we switch gears and we go over to hunting, what's happening with it? Your major time is going to be close to the same time. Let's hit it at 1:45 to 4 o'clock. Those are your best times to hunt this afternoon. So a late hunt, even into that darkness there. East-southeast wind 5 to 10. Again, the gust of about 20. It makes it tough to hunt. Blows that scent, same as fishing there when it's gusty weather. That's what we have there. That's a brief look at what we've got when it comes to weather this morning. We're monitoring all of this, and again, we're moving into that tornadic activity. I want you to be cautious. We hadn't had any weather this year yet. This has been one of the mildest years that I remember. Even when we moved to hurricane season, it could have been so much worse than what we got. We've been mild. Hopefully that will continue and no one is hurt. But as always, we're watching this tornadic activity as we move into these winter months. This is that round. When it gets bad, then it'll pick back up after Christmas there in March. As always, we're here 24/7. We don't turn the lights out, kind of like old Tom Bodette was. We're ready for whenever it comes. We'll be back in roughly, let me see what time it is, 10 minutes. So we'll go live in 5, and we'll have Greg joining us this morning as we'll let you know everything going on. God bless you. Thank you, and we'll see you in just a few moments from the Scotty Ray Report.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners.